Hi, everybody. It is Scott Riley with the Market Update Desk. It is Wednesday, July 15th, with Mortgage One, NMLS 157524. Got a lot going in the market today, and it's pretty much across the board good news. Let's review yesterday and today's important inflation numbers. Now, yesterday, Tuesday, we got the CPI numbers. We expected a positive inflation number, but it was even better than expected. So, headline CPI showed us a minus 0.4% drop in consumer price index. That's versus an estimate of minus 0.1%. Year over year, CPI inflation fell from 4.2% to 3.5%. In fact, it's one of the biggest drops, I think, in the last 6 years from a month over month standpoint. So it's great news. Of course, this was attributed to the significant drop in oil that we saw in June. In fact, gas dropped 10% within this report. Now, core, which is a very looked at, very important number because it strips out volatile food and energy, that gave us a minus 2/100ths drop on core CPI. So essentially flat. Now, but the market had estimated uh, a positive or an increase, a 0.2% increase. Year over year, core CPI fell from 2.9 to 2.6. So 0.3%. That's a big movement. One of the big factors was shelter only increased 0.1%. We're we're seeing maybe that starting to line up with more real time numbers. Motor vehicle insurance, we haven't said this for a while, that had a month over month decline of 0.2%. And the services inflation came in flat. So those all attributed to these decreases within the all important core. Now, yesterday we got a negative reaction in the market to Fed Governor Waller's speech. He came out very hawkish as far as inflation, and that created a sell off in bonds and treasuries and a hurt on mortgage rates. In fact, yesterday, the 10-year treasury, I think, topped out at 4.64, if I'm not mistaken. Mortgage backed securities were down, wow, about 30 basis points. Now, today, we are seeing some geopolitical pressure. There are some more strikes from the United States on Iran due to some Iranian attacks on commercial shipping within the Strait of Hormuz. So that's creating more tension, and that, of course, creates the tension on oil, which is the concern for inflation. Now, we started out with some good news today from a Fed president. In fact, New York Fed President Williams, and the New York Fed always has kind of an outweighted influence within the Fed and within the marketplace. He spoke and gave very dovish comments in his summary. He sees inflation moderating, and the reason for that is he sees basically the wind down of an tariff inflation, and that's going to also give us what he's saying is more market based or real time rent data for shelter costs. And he sees that we have peaked out on oil and gas and utility pressure, which is a big thing when it comes to the inflation. One of the most important lines he gave within his speech was he sees the Fed monetary policy is well positioned to contain and bring down inflation. Very important and very well received within the markets today. Today, we also got the second part of inflation, which is PPI, Producer Price Index, or wholesale inflation. The headline PPI came in at negative 0.3% on a month over month basis. And also, we got a revision negative to the May report of 0.5%. So, real big numbers there on wholesale inflation. Core PPI came in at up 0.2, still below what the market expected. And also, we saw a reversal downward to the May core PPI numbers of minus 0.3%. Very big things because we did see big numbers in May, but it seems like they were a little bit overstated. Now, another not so advertised number is the super core. That came in at up 1/10. I think the market was expecting about 3/10. So across the board, CPI or consumer inflation, producer or wholesale inflation all beat expectation to the downside by a good healthy amount. So these are positive things. The market today, we're seeing some positive notes. The Dow, that's coming in at up 147 as we speak. 10-year has fallen 4.5 basis points today. And in the afternoon yesterday, we also got some downward trend on the 10-year. In fact, we're sitting at 4.51. On Monday, we topped out at about 4.63%. So had a healthy downturn in the yield on the 10-year. Oil, it's trying to find its footing. Looks like WTI, light crude oil, sitting at 79 a barrel. One negative in the market today, kind of surprising, IBM. That stock is up $73 today. In fact, 25% of their value. So pretty big drop for IBM. We are staying busy. In fact, we just helped close a customer today. We lowered their overall blended rate significantly by putting some debt together for them at a total lower interest carry cost and made life a little simpler for them. Give us a call. We'll help you on your purchase, refinance, look at your blended rate, making sure you're not overpaying for your debt obligations. Give us a call, 616-293-2189, the Market Update Desk, your original singular market news source for West Michigan.